Good day. My name is Jennifer, and for those of you who are interested in getting to know the export-import feature of Veculim a little bit more, we are going to just do a short presentation video for you so you can see how things work and how Veculim integrates with your accounting system, which at this point in time is mostly Pastel. All right, let's move over to our Veculim management system over here. To start off with, you can see the export tab here at the top. We can click on the exports tab, which will then give you the 4 different icons. Now, to do the exporting of the records from Veculim, we will mostly be using the accounting export icon over here. Now, if you click on that, you will see that it opens up the Pastel file export menu for you. So let me just run you through this window a little bit before we get started. So at the top, you have your export debtors, in brackets customers, and then also on the right hand side, you have your export creditors or suppliers. In your drop down menu or your menu here on the left hand side, you have the option to export your sales, which is your invoices and credit notes. You have your customer journals, stock movement journals. The stock movement journals mostly have to do with your inventory consumables. So if your company is making use of this feature on Veculim to book out consumables and book them in, this can also go through your inventory system, and these stock journal vouchers will then be exported to your Pastel system. Okay, the PCRs is your receipts and returns. This will also be your receipts will be your purchases and returns will be your purchases returns. So Veculim gives you the option to export all of this to your Pastel system. So just at the bottom here, you can see that you can also export your petty cash schedules if you do make use of that feature on Veculim, but that is not something that we're going to cover in this video specifically. However, please note that if you do make use of the Veculim system to its full potential and make use of the exporting, the training will be done with you by your software consultant. All right, very important to note that before you can import your sales or your purchases into your Pastel system, you have to take your debtors and your creditors in order for Pastel to know exactly which account to post those transactions to. So let's start off with the debtors and the creditors to export these records so that we can import them into Pastel. So while this is just running the process here, you will see once it is done, it will create your debtors export file for you here under the file path and name, and that will be your debtors list that we will take then to your Pastel. The creditors, you can do exactly the same. Click on creditors, export creditors, and that will also just run the process and put the creditors file for you here. All right, the next thing to do, you will see here that Veculim gives you the option to go and choose your month or your accounting period that you wish to export the records for. For this specific video, I am choosing to export for December 2017. And let's work through our options here. So I'm going to start off with the export sales. So click on the little green icon here. Veculim will then display an export information window for you, just basically letting you know that it's going to create an invoice export as well as a credit note export to distinguish between those two so that it can be imported into your Pastel system. The moment you click on OK, you will see that it displays a print preview for you for the specific export. You can zoom in a little bit so we can see what this looks like. So you will see that the sales ledger export contains all your transactions, whether it be invoices, credit notes, etc. You have the option to save this as a PDF, print this preview, or also email it to yourself or to any of your staff members. Now, it is very useful to print this preview in order for you to take that and then double check the records that is actually imported into your Pastel system and make sure that those two correspond. Alright, for this purposes, I'm just doing the demonstration, so I'm not going to print any of these, so I will click on close. Now, after you close the preview, Veculim will display a confirmation message. Now, if you were happy with the information, you can then click yes. If you feel that something was missing or wasn't added onto the preview, you can always say no and go back to rectify whatever was wrong or is wrong on that specific export. So for these purposes, I'm quite happy with what we got. So I'm going to click on yes, and you will see that Veculim then creates the invoices as well as the credit notes export files for me. Here you can see the invoices and the credit notes. Alright, once that is done, as with the debtors and creditors, you'll see that it is now listed as exported already and the icon is grayed out. So if we click on the customer journals icon over here, to do that export, you will also see the information window again. Let's just click on OK. Now, once that is done and you get the no matching record, you will see that it says no records to be exported were found on file. So basically what this means is Veculim takes a look at your data in the back end, and then if there is no records to be exported, then you will get the no matching record. So it doesn't see any customer journals for that specific period to export. It will then display you with this message. So you can just click on OK. The next one that we would like to do was the stock movement journal vouchers. Now again, this will only be useful if you do make use of the inventory. If not, and there is no data, then it will also bring up the no matching record message for you. Okay, so let's move over to the export PCR receipts and returns. So as I've explained, these will be your purchases and your purchases returns. Now, you will also see on Veculim that your purchases journal will be your receipts and your purchase returns will be your returns, and they will have different names on your export folder or your export file as they will have in Pastel, but we will work through all of those. So let's just click on this icon. All right, again you see the export information window. You'll see the PCR's receipts export, that will be your purchases. The PCR's return export, that will be your goods returned for credit, and where the supplier has actually come to fetch those goods, they were booked out of your stock or out of your system. So we can click on OK on that window, which will then also bring up this preview for you as you had with the sales. So let's zoom in to take a closer look at that. So you will see the PCR numbers or the PCR sheet here on the left, which line it was booked into, which supplier, etc., all your relevant information, and then you can see your GL account that it's going to post the entry to on the right hand side over here. You have all the same options as with your invoices and credit notes. So if you wish to print this and also just take that to do a little bit of a check once you've done the import, you're welcome to do so. Just going to click on close for us here, and I'm happy with the information. Right, with the PCRs, you will note that it also brings up this listing of RFC details for me. This will be your returns for credit. So all the goods that you've sent back to the supplier within that specific period will be listed here and can be then taken to your GL accounts. Okay, so once we're happy with that, you will see your PCR's receipts and returns listed here. All right, if you click on the blue link here, basically what that does is, let me just bring that over here for you. What that does is it just brings up the list of where the records was exported to from your Veculim program. Okay, so you'll see your credit notes, which is your credit notes, your creditors export, that's your creditors list. You'll see your debtors export, which is your customers or your debtors list. Invoices, here's your PCR receipt, which is your purchases, and then your PCR returns, which is your returns for credit or purchases returns. Okay, I'm just going to minimize that. So what I want us to do now is just move over to your Pastel quickly, and let's start importing those records that we have now exported. So the first thing to do, like I've explained, is to just import your debtors and your creditors, for the simple fact that if you do not do that first and you try and update your batches, like for instance your PCR batches, then it will not be able to update as it doesn't know where to add those records to or to which account to post them to. So let's start by clicking on File, scroll down to the Export Import option. This will then open up the Export Import window. Now if you click on the drop down menu here on the left hand side, you have your exports at the top and your import features at the bottom. So as you will see your import customer accounts, that will be the one we use to import your debtors accounts from Veculim. So click on import customer accounts. On the right hand side, you will then see the magnifying glass over here. You can click on that, which will then take you to your export file where you have all of those exported files that you just did listed here. So to start off with, we're going to do the debtors export. You can just double click on that record. Now, very important to remember is to unmap these fields, and this is a requirement for all your Veculim imports going forward. You can click on process, and Pastel will then show you how many customer records were successfully imported. Alright, now to do the creditors, we will be using the same feature, but you do not need to leave the window and come back. You can just simply click on the drop-down menu, import supplier accounts, that will be your creditors. On the right hand side, click on the magnifying glass, choose the creditors export, unmap the fields, and click on process. So follow exactly the same steps to do both the debtors and the creditors import. Okay, we can close this window now. So what you've basically done is you have imported your debtors list as well as your creditors list. The next thing we need to do is all the transactions that we've done, your sales, meaning your invoices, your credit notes, your purchases. We need to go and post all of that. So we go to Process, Journals, and we will be doing that through all of your journals listed. Now Veculim will open on your general, not Veculim, excuse me, your Pastel will open on your general ledger. Now to start off with, you need to click on the plus next to the customer. We can then double click on sales. This will be your invoices that you will now import into Pastel. So we make use of your sales journal. Alright, to start your import, you can simply click on Batch, Import, and then on the right hand side with your magnifying glass, go and select your invoices export. Once you've done that, you click on Process, and Pastel will then pull in all of your invoices as it was on your Veculim export. Right, let's move on to the sales credits, which is your credit notes. We then say Batch, select the import function, click on the magnifying glass. For the sales credits, we make use of the credit notes. Click on Process. This will then import all of your credit notes that was created for that specific period in Veculim. Alright, now to move on from this, if you wish to update your batches, most of you understand how that works in the accounting feature, is you simply click on Update, and then you can update either just this journal batch or all of your journal batches depending on what you are wanting to do at that point in time. For now, I wish to move you over to the purchases, so we can just click on the supplier plus here. You will then see the purchases here and purchases returns. So if you double click on purchases, it will take you to your purchase journal. We click on batch, select the import function. Again, you click on the magnifying glass. Now remember, the one that I said you need to use for the purchases journal is PCR receipts export, because these are the goods that you have received within this period. So we double click on that report. Click process, and this will then pull in all your purchases for that specific period that you have posted to your ledgers. Alright, let's move over, click on the drop down menu and select purchases returns. Click on batch, import, click on the magnifying glass, and for the purchases returns you will choose the PCR's returns. Click on process, and then this brings in everything that you have sent back to your suppliers. Alright, those are the 4 imports mainly that we take care of here. Like I said, we also have the stock journal vouchers or the customer journals depending on what information there is. If you take a look at the drop down menu here with customers, you will also see your customer journal there. And if you do have any of the stock journal vouchers, you can make use of the general journal to import that into Pastel. All right, what I wish to do is just to I'm going to update my sales batch just to show you what your customer ledger will look like once you have all the records actually posted to that specific account. And what I'm going to do is, if you click on update and you update this journal batch, you can click on update there. Once that is done, you'll see a clear sales ledger over here, or sales journal. Let's close this window. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just take you through one of the accounts. So we click on view, customers, detailed ledger by customer. We are going to, for instance, choose account number 5. I choose my periods and then say OK. Now please bear in mind that I have demo data, so you will see a little bit of a duplication here, and the only reason for that is I've updated this batch already in my Pastel on my demo version, but you can see what it will look like if you have all your sales invoices imported here, and then the credit notes will obviously be on the credit side, but this looks exactly like it would with any of your normal Pastel entries that you would create. Right. I think from my side that is all. If there's any queries or any questions that you have, please feel free to phone us or take a look at our docs page for the Veculim, which is docs.veculim.com, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.